Good afternoon. I'm Nathan Pettyjohn. I wanted to kick this off with a show of hands from the audience. How many of you have experienced virtual reality with a headset on? Okay. And how about augmented reality? A few less. Okay. If I would have asked you in 2008 this question of the audience of how many of you have used a touchscreen smartphone, probably about the same or less of you would have raised your hands. And look at where we've come in 8 years. Billions of dollars have been made, a huge transition. It's argued right now that we are at the verge of a shift of the fourth major platform, VR and AR being that platform, followed up by PC, web, and mobile. So in the last 12 months alone, there's been roughly $2 billion invested in VR and AR, and analysts are estimating that about a $120 billion market will be created by 2020. That's like 3.5 years from now, going from almost next to nothing last year. So where does that play in with local? And that's why we're here today. We have some great guests from Lenovo talking about how they're enabling this with handsets. And the San Jose International Airport to talk about how they've already started implementing some of these solutions. I'll let them introduce themselves. A quick background on me and why I'm here. I run a company called Aisle 411 that does indoor mapping, location, and analytics in about 14,000 retail stores. And 2 years ago, we started working with Google on their Project Tango technology. So using computer vision to do indoor navigation in AR. We can navigate you to a vitamin bottle on a Walgreens shelf and point to it on the shelf as you go to it. So when we think about location, augmented reality is really at the pinnacle of location. These new devices can track and know where they are within less than 10 centimeters of accuracy on an X, Y, and Z coordinate, seeing very similar to how our eyes see the world. So with that, I think that we're seeing a huge opportunity. 80% of augmented reality is estimated to be in advertising, handsets, data services, and e-commerce. So that's a little bit of a background on the market and on myself, and I'm going to go ahead and let Carter introduce himself from Lenovo, and then take 1 or 2 minutes, and then we'll turn it over to John to introduce himself.
Great. Thank you, Nathan. Thanks, everyone, for having us here. So I am responsible for software business development. My day job at Lenovo over the last couple of years, I've been mostly responsible on software partnerships with big companies like Tencent and Microsoft and integrating their experiences into our Android devices. We primarily sell tablets and smartphones around the world, both under Lenovo and Moto brands. Over the last year, I've gotten very involved with Google on trying to figure out how we can commercialize their Tango technology. Nathan referred to, I've been working sort of hand in hand with the Google VR AR team on beginning to build out the app ecosystem for this first Tango device we'll be bringing to market very shortly. So psyched to be here and talk to you guys a little bit about what we're seeing in this AR VR space. Thanks.
Hi, my name is John Vaden, and I work in the business development group at the San Jose Airport. Just a quick show of hands, how many of you are from out of town? Just so I know. Okay. Did any of you fly into SJC? All right, thank you. I should have brought keychains or something. And that gets at the point exactly of why I'm here. As part of the marketing team at SJC, we compete against SFO and Oakland, which are both great airports. I'm not going to say anything bad about them, but our marketing mission is to always be giving people more reasons why they should choose SJC. And we have a lot of compelling reasons, and we market ourselves as Silicon Valley's airport. So it's a core part of our mission to be embracing technology and looking for innovative marketing solutions, which is how we got paired up with Nathan and Google's Project Tango. Google had approached us, because we're their friendly neighborhood airport, to do some experiments with the technology, and we think it's really promising. And so we moved forward with a prototype demo app, and we'll be talking a little bit more about that today.
Sure. So why don't we start with that, and we have a video here that I think we're going to show, and we're going to try to stop it at certain points. So John, do you want to kind of walk us through kind of what's happening here?
Yeah, sure. This is the prototype that IL411 helped us create. We rolled it out. British Airways recently started a nonstop service from San Jose to London at the beginning of May, which is a big deal for us. And so we had a big celebration event, big inaugural event. A lot of VIPs were there, and so we thought it was a perfect opportunity to showcase this technology, this augmented reality technology that we're creating here. And you can roll the video a little bit, and I'll try to talk to it. You see that as somebody walks through the terminal, as they pass each gate, it's tied into our departure database. So it shows them where the next flight is departing to from each gate. And as they're walking, you can get more information about the concessions that are close to you. Ultimately, we'll have a search functionality where you can say, I've got 10 minutes, and it will show you, all right, what are the restaurants or concessions that you have time to go buy a burger in the 10 minutes to help relieve that gate anxiety. That's a big deal for us, that people are sitting at their gate. They actually have time to go spend money at the airport, but they don't because they're worried it's too far away. I don't know where it is. I don't know if I have time. So part of the purpose of this app is to relieve that anxiety and to help drive more concession sales. So you see as people walk through here, it's showing them what are the concessions that are nearby, and if they tap on it, it'll give them more detail about that particular concession. It's also showing them what's going on at each of the gates, and then you see cool stuff floating up in the air. You see a shark floating in the air up by the shark's cage there. The idea being that we're trying to combine useful, helpful information with an entertainment factor to help engage people and make it, gamification, make it a little bit fun for them, so they have a reason to want to use the app. And as I think Nathan referenced, this is using Google's Project Tango technology. So for this, Google brought some demo devices that we could hand out to the VIPs for them to have a chance to use and see how the technology is working on their handheld devices.
Great. So thanks, John. And I think you tapped into a little bit of the business strategy there as you were talking through it. But if you had to break it down into one or two kind of key performance indicators that you're looking as a strategy, what is it that this hyperlocation kind of AR experience can bring to commerce and business?
Yeah, for us, there's two different tracks. On the commerce side, it is very much trying to drive increased concession sales by matching up the product offerings with the passengers who are looking for something quickly and easily, and helping them ease that transaction and make it easier for them to find the thing they want quickly. And then on the other side, for us, it is definitely a experiential marketing thing, because as I said, we're Silicon Valley's airport. We want people to have fun at the airport. We want them to know that when they come to our airport, it's going to be cool and it's going to be innovative and it's going to be relaxing and it's going to be all the things that airports usually aren't. And so for us, those two things we think are complementary. We think ultimately we'll be able to accomplish both those things with tools like this.
Great. Now, I think the stat is roughly 10 million people went through San Jose Airport last year, right?
Yeah, that's right. Well, we'll hit 10 million this year. Last year was 9.8 million or something. We'll hit 10 this year.
Nice. So it's growing. However, those 10 million people, 0 of them have a device that enables this technology right now. So that's where Lenovo comes in. And Carter, can you kind of talk about how that is about to change? You hinted at it and teased at it a minute ago, but maybe dive a little deeper into that.
Sure. So actually on Thursday here in San Francisco, we're going to announce with Google this first consumer Tango device. We're having a big launch event. We're obviously very, very excited. So after Thursday, I can share with you the device. In the meantime, let me just talk a little bit about what Tango is. So as Nathan hinted, it's essentially giving your device a much, much better understanding of the environment around you. Right now, most of your smartphones are pretty much dumb. They don't really know how far away that wall is, or if you're standing or sitting down. So what Tango technology is, without getting too much into the weeds, we're adding a couple of, in addition to the 16 meg RBG camera, some depth sensor and a fisheye camera, and then on top of that, the Google, what they call Tango Core, the software. Those integrated together enable your device now to have a much, much essentially a holistic understanding of the environment around you. So therefore, as you turn on the Tango device and it begins to understand what's happening, it can solve problems like indoor navigation. So you can check in, let's say, at a big casino hotel in Vegas, and you want to get to your room or the conference center. If that area has been mapped, now your Tango device can sort of take you right to your room or or the conference room without you sort of having to figure out. GPS does a great job. Google Maps does a great job of getting us to a location, let's say from here to Vegas, but inside it's really challenged, and we're working to enable this technology to solve those challenges. And in a retail environment, if that retail space has been mapped, it can help you very efficiently get to, if you're Walgreens, you want to get aspirin, or if you're at a supermarket, you want to get your ice cream, it can take you right there.
And this is not the new phone you're holding, right?
No, this is a Nexus.
That'll be officially unveiled in a couple days?
Yep,
Okay.
in a couple of days.
So why a phone? I mean, a lot of people talk about AR, and it could be cumbersome by holding up a tablet in front of you or holding up a phone. Why did you start with a phone and not, a piece of eyewear, for example?
So there's obviously a lot of momentum right now. Sort of the hot category is VR with the HMDs, and those are all awesome in terms of creating really just very immersive experiences for the user, whether it's Vive or Oculus. What we see the opportunity with Google is really to drive mainstream adoption on a device, on a form factor that consumers are already comfortable with. We sort of see Tango and what it enables in terms of AR, VR experience as a natural extension of what you've already been doing with your phone today. So we're not asking you to buy any new equipment, to put something around your head. We're just showing you that your phone now can be used for things like indoor navigation. There's a lot of tremendous gaming applications. And in the sort of commerce, consumer products world, the visualization capabilities of what you can do on this device are pretty astounding. So with Google, our view is that we want to really make this as ubiquitous, as sort of natural as other technologies which live in your device today, like GPS. It does amazing things, but you don't even know it's there. It's in the background. So we're trying with Tango to sort of solve that problem. So we're not necessarily talking about Tango or the technology. We're just talking about the experience that it's delivering. So we hope that by having it on a form factor, a phone that everybody's using today will be a little bit bigger. It's going to be about a 6.3-inch screen. That will start to catapult this into more of the mainstream market. And then Google on their end is making this part of Android. So in this next release of Android End, some of the Tango APIs will be exposed, and they'll continue sort of push more and more of Tango into the core Android OS in the future. So as more devices come into the market with Tango, as Tango becomes part of Android OS, this will really then become part of this enormous scale that Android has of 1+ billion users.
Excellent. So, John, as we talk about form factors, this will be hitting consumers' hand as a phone soon. But where do you see this going? I mean, do you see a time when this is like in autonomous robots doing certain tasks? How does that fit into your plan?
Yeah, I think it does fit. I think we'll probably want to embrace it whatever the form factor ends up looking like, because I think there are different use cases regardless. As a handheld device right now, that's great in terms of us thinking about apps that passengers would be interested in engaging with. That's what they're going to have in their pockets. So that's great. If it's ends up in other form factors as well, we're looking at robots that can deliver your food order to your gate, so that you don't have to worry about having enough time to go to Starbucks. The robot will bring it to you. We're working on those kinds of things. We're not there yet, but those are the things we're interested in. So I see a use case for that. Certainly, we're talking about our operations and maintenance teams using this technology to streamline the work order process when something's broken. Some little faucet is broken somewhere in the airport, and I think initially for maintenance guys, they're going to be more comfortable with a handheld device. I don't think they're necessarily going to be super on board with the headset thing. So that's great. But I think over time, I'm not a technology expert, but as I understand it, I think it will end up in a lot of different kinds of devices. And I think with some careful thought, at a place like an airport, you can find use cases pretty much no matter what.
Yeah. So Carter, is there any kind of exclusivity on this technology, or will this become pervasive in every Android device and maybe even Apple devices sometime?
I don't know about Apple devices. I doubt that. But Google stated their ambitions very clearly at I/O, and Tango's been part of the I/O symposium for the last couple of years. So it's definitely not exclusive to us. It will hopefully become part of their other OEMs, manufacturers coming on board and making this part of their device. And Google's ambitions, as I said, is to include this as part of the core, make it core to Android OS for future releases. And its opportunity, as John was saying, is really it's going to start with a smartphone. We really want to make that successful, but it can persist in a lot of other IoT advanced devices, whether it's drones or an HMD. Again, because Tango is providing an incredible understanding of the space around you to a level of precision that you're not getting with really any other device, and that can create experiences for consumers on a number of different form factors.
Okay, so a lot of people here are probably thinking, this is really cool. What does like 1 year, 2 year, 3 year just generally look like to you in terms of number of people who will have this in their hands, in their pockets? Is it millions? Is it tens of millions? Beyond? Any idea?
Yeah, I mean, this is a Google. We're in partnership here, a Google-driven initiative. When you spend a lot of time with them, you realize they sort of quantify everything in very big numbers. Billion to them is sort of how they look at the world. So their ambition is certainly to make this available to the largest possible audience. We think by starting with a smartphone, putting it on this type of form factor and really pushing it into a number of key markets, we have an opportunity to get to many millions of handsets pretty quickly. And then 2-3 years out, us combined with a couple of other big OEM players, it's significant enough scale where, and behind that a robust set of apps that the adoption is very, very significant.
Okay. So with the 7 or 8 minutes we have left here, let's kind of shift the conversation and drill deep into maybe what kinds of applications are you seeing with AR, or that you've already seen it or you're foreseeing that are going to drive commerce. And I'll open that up to either one of you to kind of take.
Sure. So I think the first and probably most salient area for a lot of folks in this room is just what's happening in terms of visualization. So we're in partnership with a number of big sort of retailers out there. I can talk about what we're doing with Lowe's. We're going to be announcing more specifically some of the AR experiences that we're going to be putting on the device with them. But with our phone and the Lowe's app, we literally can, you can be in your living room, you can be in your kitchen, and begin to, with 3D objects and the phone, begin to get a real sense of what a new refrigerator would look like, what a new table would look like. And we believe that visualization in a space that you're living in today, measured to allow you to understand whether or not it can fit, not only fit, but then how it's going to look, is going to really increase your intent to purchase. So the biggest barrier for someone like Lowe's in terms of driving incremental sales is just the natural hesitation people have to go through a remodeling or renovation process. So that visualization of an actual object or product, like a piece of furniture or a refrigerator, for them is and on a device that you're already using, which is your smartphone, is potentially a massive game changer. So not only are you going to be able to see it, but then you can order it, right from the app. And this can be obviously extended to, another great company out there called Wayfair, which is, sort of pure e-commerce player, and their app is up on the Google Play Store already. Their prototype is fantastic, again, in giving customers a sense of what that side table would look like in their living room or, in the bedroom. So I think that's probably the visualization, and then what it can ultimately do for the merchant is going to be very, very major.
Okay. And John, maybe with your marketing hat on, maybe you could talk a little bit about how digital advertising is going to change. We saw the 3D animated shark swimming around. Is that an experience or is it an ad? And then there was some pints of beer that were spinning around with froth, foam coming out of it in front of one of the bars. Again, it's like, that's cool, but how does that translate into marketing and dollars?
Well, I think it's both. I think it is infotainment, to use a television term, or what started out as a television term anyway. I think it's both, and I think that's desirable because I think we look at our our Facebook page, for example, where we get the best response is not when we're posting ads on Facebook. It's when we're posting meaningful content. Like, here's a cool video from British Airways, inaugural celebration the other night, and we got 100,000 people watching that. And I think this is the same kind of thing. It's not a hard sell, but it's fun, it's playful. It doesn't feel like they're being sold to, that the passengers are being sold to. I think it feels like it's attempting to provide useful information and content, and it's playful and fun. And oh, by the way, if seeing a frosty beer spinning around encourages you to go buy a beer at that bar, then that's great. I don't know that it necessarily works in every environment, but I think in a lot of use cases that could be a very successful method.
Yeah. Carter, anything to add there, or did John nail it? Great. So
if I could just add one other use case that I think I want to touch on just real quickly is the wayfinding aspect of it. And what initially sold us when the Google guys first contacted us and said, hey, we want to come over to the airport and show you something that we're working on. And they came over and they spent, 30 minutes maybe mapping out a part of our terminal. And then they brought us down and said, okay, what do you want to find? What do you? And I said, I don't know, baggage claim. And they on the fly basically had created this tool that literally I held up the phone or the device, and it literally walked me down the escalator, around the corner, and to the baggage carousel that I said I'd wanted to go to, and that was with 30 minutes of mapping. I think I don't know how they did it, but it was. I think that wayfinding functionality, especially if you pair it with engaging content, can be really revolutionary in a lot of use cases.
Yeah, so we've seen Google Maps go to indoor mapping and now going to AR. So like that navigation, was it plotting the route on the floor for you? And
yeah, that's exactly right. It basically, as I'm walking, holding up the device, it is leading. It's like a yellow brick road in front of me as I'm walking on the device, pointing me directly as I walk to baggage claim, as in this particular case.
Yeah, and in Google fashion, they're likely going to start exposing that so that developers and can build experiences on top of that, just leveraging a lot of those scanned indoor environments. So really exciting to see where all this goes. We have like 2 more minutes left, so if there are questions from the audience, we'll open it up right now. Yeah.
I don't know if you... Okay. Why Lenovo and not Nexus? As the first smartphone that will have this technology, the Tango.
Great question. So this will be a co-branded device. So what you'll see is Lenovo and the Tango brand on the device. But Nexus is really for Google's own line of smartphones. But this, sort of the branding on the phone will reflect, the partnership between Lenovo and the Google Tango team. So you'll see Lenovo brand and the Tango, Project Tango brand on the device.
And Carter, if I could just kind of tether onto that, so Google acquired Motorola Mobility and then sold part of Motorola Mobility to Lenovo, correct? So
Correct.
A lot of that technology's kind of moved and shifted, right?
Yes, they all used to be in a office in Sunnyvale, and then part of the team went to Google, and part of it came to Lenovo. Yeah.
This question is for John. I first tried VR in 1997, and given all the sort of hype cycles since, what makes you think that this time the consumers are going to be all about it?
That's a great question, and I don't know for sure, but I think what convinced me to move ahead with this project was the fact that it's going to be in everybody's pocket, whether they choose to put it in their pocket or not. Ultimately, I believe it's going to be on millions, tens of millions of devices that happen to be in their pockets, and therefore it is not making them take an extra step. It's already in their pocket, and therefore now you've overcome all of those hurdles of easy implementation and usage, and all they got to do is download an app, and suddenly they're using it without even having made a conscious decision to use it. And I think that's, to me, is the difference maker.
Perfect timing. We have 10 seconds left. All right, I think we're done. Thanks a lot.